Welcome to my first guide video for Path of Exile. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. As always, you can find me at Brutuu 1908 on Twitch TV. Looking to clear T16 maps with lightning speed, using something other than Cyclone as a melee build? Try out the Frost Blades spec. It's extremely satisfying, little bit of a range to it, very efficient clearer. Also capable with the right currency to do in-game bosses. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the guide. First up, let's talk about the 6-link body armor. First gem, Frost Blades, our main attack for this spec. Second gem, multi-strike gem. Third gem, elemental damage with attacks. Fourth gem, hypothermia. Fifth gem, ancestral call. Sixth gem, ruthless. Here's where it gets interesting. Whenever you get Tribal Fury anointment on your necklace, you're able to drop Ancestral Call for Fortify. Tribal Fury basically does the same exact thing as Ancestral Call. Dropping it allows you to pick up Fortify and use Tribal Fury on your necklace, letting you attack additional nearby enemies and increasing your melee damage overall. Next up, let's talk about our 4-link helmet. First gem, Precision, left at level 5. Second gem, Herald of Ice. Third gem, Hatred. Fourth gem, Berserk. It's important to leave Precision at level 5. It's going to put a massive weight on our mana pool, and we need mana to attack. Next up, let's talk about the 4-link glove setup. First gem, Blood Rage. Second gem, Vow Molten Shell. Third gem, Vow Ancestral Warchief. Fourth gem, Frost Bomb. Frost Bomb is important to our spec, giving us a lot of extra utility towards boss damage, letting them take increased frost damage and also slowing their regeneration. Next up, let's talk about our 2 3-link weapon setups. First gem, Cast when damage taken support, left at level 1. Second gem, Immortal Call, left at level 3. Third gem, Summon Ice Golem, left at level 3. It's important that we leave these gems at those recommended levels because we want them to cast all of the time. Now moving on to our second weapon. First gem, Leap Slam. Second gem, Endurance Charge on melee stun support. Third gem, faster attack support. We're gaining endurance charges because Leap Slam will always stun targets, and we're also leaping around the map like a madman because of faster attack support. Now comes the gear portion of our guide, starting with body armor. I prefer running a 6-link Astral Plate to cover any resistance with high life, high armor, and of course high percent to maximum life. For any budget player, 6-link Belly of the Beast will also work in a pinch. Next up is going to be our helmet slot. For this slot, I only really recommend one piece of gear, and that's the Abyssus helmet. The added damage that we get from this helmet is absolutely absurd. I would not use anything else. Next up, let's talk about our weapon slot. For this slot, I highly recommend jeweled foils. Any jeweled foil with percent physical damage, added cold damage, increased critical strike chance, and increased attack speed. And both weapons can be a deadly combo. Next up, let's talk about the boot slot. In this slot, I highly recommend Calm's Roots Titan Greaves. You can't be knocked back Unfortunately, it has no sockets, but the massive amount of life that it gives you, along with unwavering stance, gives us a lot of boosted life. But if you need to, because of your resistances, go ahead and use rare boots that'll go ahead and give you any kind of resistances that you need, but make sure that you look for a max life rule. It's always good to look for when you're looking for rare boots is Tailwind. Up next, let's talk about belts. I highly recommend using a Stygian Vice belt with a Murderous Eye Jewel. Stygian Vice rolls you're looking for is covering all of your resistances that you need with a max life roll. It's always good to have elemental damage on attacks. For a Murderous Eye Jewel, you're looking for added cold damage, increased attack speed, and maximum life. Up next, let's talk about rings. In the ring slot, you're looking for a rare ring that adds Assassin Mark on hit. You also want to try to cover your resistances as best as you can. So a 2-stone ring is always good. Look for max life rolls, but if you can't get it, I mean, as long as you have Assassin's Mark on hit. The other ring, Mark of the Elder Steel Ring. Whenever you have this ring on, it increases attack damage if your other ring is a Shaper item, which of course, our 2-stone ring with Assassin's Mark should be a Shaper item. Next up, let's talk about the neck. For a neck piece, I highly recommend getting at least a turquoise amulet. That way you can cover any kind of attribute cost that you have. On this neck, you want to anoint Tribal Fury. If you remember in the beginning of the video, you are able to drop one gem and replace it for another for added damage. On this neck, you're looking for added physical damage, added cold damage, global critical strike multiplier, maximum life, and as much resist as you possibly need. Last but not least, the glove slot. For this slot, I highly recommend rare gloves with maximum life, any percent of resistances that you need, and it's always nice to have increased damage against chilled enemies. For the talent tree portion of our build, in the description below, you'll find a Path of Building paste bin that you guys could use. Overall, this build is extremely fun to play. I love playing melee builds in Path of Exile. If you guys enjoyed the video, you got some kind of information out of it, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. There's going to be more content like this in the future. And as always, you can find me at Twitch TV/Brutuu1908. I'm streaming every day during the week, 4 p.m. Eastern Time to around 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask in the comments below, or feel free to stop in a live stream to ask me then. And as always, guys, have a nice day, and I hope you have fun with the build.